Welcome to this demonstration of progressive web applications for mobile devices with Oracle Visual Builder. My name is Shai Schmelzer. In this demonstration, we're going to show you how to create progressive web application or PWAs for mobile devices in Visual Builder, how to basically enable PWA on an existing application, how to prompt the user to install the application on the device, how to add device integration such as integration with the GPS, camera, and files on the device to your application, and how updates to your application are automatically propagated to the mobile device without any action needed from your side. We're starting with a web application or a web page that we created in Visual Builder. In the application setting, there's a section for progressive web apps. We can simply enable progressive web app on our application. This would give us an interface to define the application name, coloring, splash images, for example, that are going to be used, and even the offline page that would show up when we're offline. Once we added this functionality to our application in our shell page, we can define a new event listener that is going to be invoked when the application has not been installed on the device. So in this case, we're going to create a new action chain in this new event. And in this action chain, we want to help the customer install the application on the device. Now, there are different ways to do this. In our case, what we're going to do is we're just going to add a dialog to our page. And in this dialog, we'll put in some text that would encourage our user to install the application. We're going to provide an ID for our dialog, provide a title for it, and then we can add, for example, a text area to our dialog, resize it, and use the visual capabilities of development in Visual Builder to create a nice interface to prompt the user to install the application. For this button over here, we're just going to switch it to say OK. And when we click this button, we want to close this dialog. So we'll use the declarative JavaScript action chains over here to call the close method on the dialog. And now we'll switch to the install application action chain that we created. And over here, when we first get into the application, we're going to open the dialog and ask people to install the application. Now let's stage our application. This creates a testing environment for us, for the users to test our application. And this is basically our first version of the application. Once it's staged, we can open the application in our browser. We'll be prompted to install the application. We can then release the dialog and either install using this icon over here, or go to the menu option over here and choose the install option for our application. Or we can continue working inside the browser. Now, we can use the QR code available over here to scan it from our mobile device. And this would open the application in the browser on our mobile device. Same behavior is going to be here. We're going to get prompted to install our application. We're going to release the dialog. We can work with the application in the browser, but we can also use the option here from the menu to install our VB PWA application. Once the application is installed on our device, we're going to see that a new icon has been added to our device. If we click this icon, the application is going to open up outside of the browser as a full page application where we can interact with the application, for example, search for an employee. So this is our first version of the application. Now let's show you how easy it is to roll out updates to our application. What we're going to do is we're going to add some functionality to our application. We're going to add a new functionality to add a new employee to our application with this button that is up here. And we're going to add some event when you press this button. In here, we're going to navigate to a new page. We're going to create the page based on one of our Redwood-based templates for pages. Our Redwood-based templates are already responsive and adjust properly for mobile devices. So now when we click on this button, we go to the new page that uses this responsive layout to create an environment where I can provide information about a new employee. So let's configure our template, providing a title and a subtitle. There's a form placeholder over here. We're going to remove it, and instead we're going to simply drag over information from a business object into our empty slot here to create a create form where we can create information about an employee. We'll switch this country field to have a title that says location, and we're now going to show you how to add integration with the device capabilities. Let's add a button to our application that will invoke the GPS on the device. So this button will get the location of where the device is right now. We're going to use an action chain over here and use the built-in action, which is called getLocation, to invoke this call to the GPS on the device. Then we're going to assign the value that we get back from that into our country field. So for example, over here, we're going to go to the results of the getLocation. We're going to pick up the latitude. We're going to concatenate it with the word and then after that, we're going to add the longitude as well as a result here into this field. Another type of device integration can be done using the camera UI component on our property. Over here, we're going to add this camera component to our page, and this would allow us to work with the camera or pick up files from the gallery, for example. Now let's roll this new version to our customers. We're just going to stage this application, basically creating a new version in the same URL that was there before. Again, you can access the new version over here from the browser. Just like before, if you haven't installed the application, you're going to be prompted to install the application. You can then click the new employee and go to the new page. Now, the nice thing about progressive web apps is if you now go to your mobile device over here, all you need to do is close the current application and reopen it. You don't need to go to the App Store and download a new version. The minute that you reopen the application, we recognize there's a new version of the application, and what you're going to see now is the new version over here. Note how the new employee button is positioned at the bottom as part of our responsive UI design. When we click on it, we can go to our page, click the get location, invoke the GPS and find our location, click the camera, pick up an image from our gallery and get the information over here. The cancel and submit button are at the bottom again, and this is our responsive progressive web app done with Visual Builder.